Hey everybody, it's Overkill here with my first ever painting tutorial on this channel. So today we're going to be painting the Slaughterpriest of Khorne, the free model that you got with the newest White Dwarf for September. So this is a absolutely gorgeous model for Age of Sigmar. As you can see, he is bursting with little details, and it's just an excellent sculpt on this model. I really like it. Of course, today we're going to be using the Citadel range of paints to paint this Games Workshop model. And yeah, before we get started, we can now see, you'll be able to see the list of paints used before we get right into it. But a quick note: thank you guys for breaking the channel through 9,000 subscribers. That is really appreciated. I woke up to that a couple days ago while I was working on this video, and that is absolutely amazing. Thank you all so much, and hopefully the future holds a lot of great stuff for all of us. But yeah, let's get right into the first step. So here we have the Slaughterpriest himself. This tutorial is going to be following my basic Khorne color scheme for Age of Sigmar. So following this tutorial, you'll be able to paint basically any of the bloodbound, the Khorne guys from Age of Sigmar. So there's like just one of the Blood Reavers. There's this guy. So basically, just following this tutorial, you'll be able to paint any of the current Khorne models for Age of Sigmar. But the first step, of course, is painting the flesh of the Slaughterpriest, and we are going to be using Rakarth flesh for that. So as always, make sure your paint is watered down, and just apply this to all of the flesh areas. And you'll probably have to apply a second coat of this where it is quite thin, but of course, a couple of thin layers is a lot better than one thick one. So with the layers of Rakarth flesh now applied, we move on to our second step, which is a wash of ragland flesh shade. And you just want to apply this all over the flesh until you have nice coverage over all of it, and it gets into all those recesses and gives you a great effect on all the muscle. So now that we've given the ragland flesh shade enough time to dry, you can see it settle down into the muscles there. So now we are going to go ahead and give the model a nice new layer of Rakarth flesh once again. Make sure it's watered down, and you're just going to apply this over the muscles so that the shade in between the muscles is more defined. So now the skin is finished, and we are going to start base coating the armor with Citadel Khorne Red. And this is going to go on basically all of the metal parts that, or all of the armor bits that aren't the ornate bits, like pieces. This rim here will be gold, for example, but stuff like this in the center is going to be red. Now, of course, this is watered down like it always should be. So you will probably have to apply a second coat, but again, that is a lot better than one thick one. So now that we have a nice base of Khorne Red on all the metal parts, we're going to go ahead and wash it with Carroburg Crimson. Now, this is more just to get some shading into the recesses of the armor. There won't be much to do after. But what this is also going to be used for is on certain parts of the skin. You can see, especially on his chest, there's a big scar, and there are also some stitches and scars back here as well. And we're going to put Carroburg Crimson on those to accentuate them and make them pop, make them look like they're painful and stuff. And we're also going to be doing some thick washes on his left arm to make this arm more demonic looking, because it is quite mutated. So we're going to go ahead and do that now. So the Carroburg Crimson wash has dried. You can see it's made a nice effect on the Slaughterpriest's arm. So now it looks nice and demonic. But now we're going to go back over with more Khorne Red, and we are going to fill in the spots that weren't, or rather where the wash didn't settle. So areas like on this shoulder pad, just staying away from the recesses, basically just filling in the center and bringing those colors back up. And yeah, you'll do this for all of the red parts on the model. So the red parts have been highlighted back up, and now we're going to move on to our next step of painting all of the bone and the Slaughterpriest's little loincloth type thing here with Xandri dust. So like any paint, you want to of course water this down, and this, like I said, is going to be applied to all of the bone area. So specifically this skull that he's stepping on down here, his cloth area right on the front and the back, this skull on his shoulder, all the bones sticking out, all that stuff. So we'll just go ahead, of course his horns on his helmet, all of those things will be this color. So we now have the Xandri dust applied to all of the areas that we wanted, paying particular note to the mouth on this guy's arm, and also on the back of his legs there's a couple of straps holding his boots, or his armor to his boots. So now we're going to wash all of these areas with Agrax Earthshade, and just covering it very generously, all of the areas. So especially on this skull, because it's full of detail, that'll be picked out quite nicely by this wash. So yeah, you just apply it to all of the Xandri dust areas, and we'll continue on from there. So now with the Agrax Earthshade wash dried, you now are going to cover the bone areas with shabti bone. Now this is a layer paint, so it's already quite thin, but of course you still want to add a little bit of water just to make it that much more thin, so that this stage is the easiest to do and gives you the best results. So yeah, any area like this skull on the ground, his horns, the skull here, stuff like that, the little horns sticking out of him, those are the areas that you're going to put this on, and then we'll move on to the next step. Alright, so now that we have the Screaming Skull layer done on all the bone, we are going to go ahead and start with the metallic. So to paint all of the iron or steel or whatever it is, we are going to use lead belcher. So we're going to go ahead and just get our brush loaded up here, and of course remember, as always, to water down the paint so that you get even coverage, because I find most of the times with my iron breaker that it gets pretty thick straight from the pot, and it doesn't cover very well. So make sure you water it down and you get a nice coverage. So just cover all of the iron bits, like the sword, the hooks on his back, his ball and chain, stuff like that, even this little these chains on the back and stuff like that. So now with the lead belcher applied, we're going to go ahead and apply a wash of Nuln Oil. So you just want to apply this liberally all over the ironwork, and make sure you get it into all the nice recesses on this guy's metal bits. So specifically the sword, the chain, the ball and chain, and the other chains around the model. And the wash is just going to make the little recesses in this model pop. Alright, so our next step for painting the Slaughterpriest is to of course cover his brass / gold parts, so like the parts on his armor and stuff like that. So for that we're using Balthazar gold, and just like the lead belcher, make sure it's watered down just a little bit so that you get a bit better coverage. And like I said, this is going on all the basically the edges of the armor, where you see like these more raised parts. So yeah, you're just gonna put those along there, and yeah, basically you're just gonna get it along all that armor. And then there's also a couple of little pieces at the back, such as this Chaos Star, and then there's a little corn icon here. And yeah, basically just go all around all of the model, painting all of that gold now. So we have now covered all the gold / brass areas on the Slaughterpriest, and now we are going to go ahead and give them a Agrax Earthshade wash and this is just going to go into the recesses and tone down the shininess of the gold to make it look not so fancy, I guess, make it look a bit more worn. And yeah, you just want to cover all of the brass areas or gold areas with this wash. So now that we've given the model a wash, we're going to go ahead and paint the dark brown bits on the model. Most importantly, the bits on his armor here, this little sack, and his boots. So we're going to go ahead and do that in Rhinox hide, and we are going to paint that on right now. So just get it all over those areas. Be careful not to get on the gold and the red bits like I kind of just did there, but if you do get it on there, just of course go back with your respective color and just cover that up. But yeah, to cover those bits, and we'll move on to the next step. So the Rhinox hide areas are finished, and now we're going to give them a wash of Nuln oil. So I also went ahead and painted the belt and the straps on his pants in the same color, just to save a little bit of time. Also these little straps holding his armor to his skin, I also painted with Rhinox hide. But yeah, we're going to go ahead and just cover all of these areas with Nuln oil. So just be sure to apply it liberally so it goes down in all the recesses and brings out all the detail in those, I guess, leather bits. So with the Nuln oil drying on the leather bits, we're going to go ahead and put a layer of storm vermin fur on this guy's pants. And you just want to apply this, being very careful not to get it on your other bits. And the pants are the only area where this color is going to be, so that's all you have to worry about. And there you have it. We have a Slaughterpriest at approximately tabletop level, maybe a little bit above depending on what your preferences are. But yeah, this model is perfectly capable of heading to the tabletop right now to slaughter many enemies in the name of Khorne. But there are some more things that you could do to spice up the miniature a little bit, definitely basing in your own style. But there's also a couple of highlights that we can do, and some other colors that we can apply to things. So we're going to do all of those in one step, and I'll have them listed on the screen for you guys to see. Alright, and just like that, we now have a finished Slaughterpriest of Khorne. Thank you guys for watching. If you enjoyed, please be sure to leave a like and a comment down below, as always. And if you like the idea of having painting tutorials for Warhammer miniatures on the channel, please be sure to let me know down below. This took a long time to make. If I did try to make another tutorial, it wouldn't be as long as this one. This one took nearly exactly a week to get through. Just finding the time to paint and record and edit the video was a bit of a pain, but I think the result was worth the time. So hopefully you guys enjoyed, and I will see you guys in the next video. Goodbye.